Good morning, class. And we would be actually talking today about the concepts of OB, right? Or organizational behavior, and where we talk about the organization from the point of view of individuals, employees, it could be your bosses or common employees. So, individual is micro. Then we, as along with when we work as an individual employee, we are also working in different departments or in projects, so groups come into play, so that's meso. And lastly, organization as a whole, which is micro. Now, when we talk of individuals or micro, we are talking of an individual's ability to work, to learn, values that we have, values towards work, our attitudes and approaches towards work, and the level of job satisfaction. It talks about our personality, it talks about our emotions, our own perceptions, and our decision making power. It talks of different concepts of motivation, our individual motivation and its applications. Now, when we talk of groups or meso, we're talking of there has to be, when you work in a group, there has to be some fundamental group behavior. Group and teamwork. How do we work in a group and team? There has to be, when we work together, proper communication. And when a group works together, there has to be someone who has to lead. So leadership comes into play. And what sort of approach do we have as a leader? What challenges can come up from the leader's point of view? There is power coming into play. People try to dominate each other. People try to put others down. People try to exert power. Politics come into play because if we do not like someone, we have a tendency to snub the person to ensure that the person falls into trouble. We do it. Conflicts come, difference of opinion come when we work together, and with conflict, there is also negotiation. How do we bargain? How do we discuss to come up with what is better for all of us? The last that comes up is where we talk of the organization as a whole or macro. Every organization has to have a proper structure. There has to be proper work design, proper technology, proper HR policies coming into play. There has to be a proper organizational culture of the organization, changes coming up, and how would the organization actually work to accept the change. Stress coming into play when we work together. And in organization, we have in this there are problems both within the organization as well as outside the organization. So how do we undergo this? How do we overcome this stress? This is a small exercise for you all. So you just have to see and think, like, it may be true, it may be false. You have to know what. And just it's a something to debate about whether happy workers are productive workers. All individuals are most productive when their boss is friendly, trusting, and approachable. Everyone wants a challenging job. You have to scare people a little to get them to do their jobs. Everyone is motivated by money. Most people are more concerned with the size of their own salaries than with the size of other people's salaries. So, is it true? Is it false? Or it's just a combination? It's quite debatable. So, something for you all to think about. Now, next thing that comes up is contributions of behavioral science to organizational behavior. OB or organizational behavior is a managerial concept. How do we have the other behavioral sciences coming into play? What is the relation between management and behavioral sciences? When we talk of behavioral sciences, we talk of psychology, which talks about an individual. We talk of social psychology. Now, social means when we talk of society, so group comes into play. Sociology could be groups, could be the organization as a whole, and lastly, anthropology, which again talks can be from the group's point of view or organization as a whole. Now, all these branches of behavioral science talks of either the individual or group of organization, that is micro, meso, or macro, which is part of an organization or organizational behavior. Psychology, when we say psychology, is the scientific study of mind and behavior of an individual. Okay, so it talks about how to measure, explain, and sometimes change in the behavior of human beings. That's where we talk about. Sociology, when we say it's a scientific study of society, That includes the social relationships, social interaction, culture. Now, when we are talking how do people interact, it could be in a country, it could be in an organization also. Social psychology, when we say it's a combination of psychology and sociology, it talks of people's influence on one another. How do people influence others? How do people think, act, and feel? From the point of view of society, we are thinking of, we have our own thinking power, own approaches, but when we actually work in a society, we stay in the society, in a particular society, our behavior changes, our thoughts changes, our feelings changes because of people who are nearby to us. Anthropology, when we say anthropology, talks about human culture. It's talking about the beliefs and traditions of society as a whole. So that again changes. The organizations, whichever society or economy the organization is operating, the society has a big role to play in the working of the organization. Challenges and opportunities that comes up with in the in an organization that an organization has to face. So there are three things. These are the two challenges that we have. One is when we talk of responding to globalization, where we talk of we're increasing foreign assignments, working with people from different cultures, also working in organizations in a working in, when an organization has to work in a country where the cost of labor is less, low cost labor, as we say. The second thing that comes up is managing diversity, where we talk of gender, culture, and age. So these are the challenges that we have. Last comes up is the opportunity that we have is creating a positive work environment. It is where we have developing of human strengths and fostering vitality and resilience. Let's go into more details. When we talk of the first point that is responding to globalization, increase foreign assignment. What happens is if your business, if you have a big business and you're operating in multiple countries, and so one of your employee gets transferred to another country in where you have a branch. So what happens there? You will have to work with people with different needs, aspirations, and attitudes, which are entirely different from the working culture back in your own country. So that's a big challenge. How do you respond to that? Working with people from different cultures. Now, different cultures, so when different people have different work cultures, different social, it also comes from the society. So you need to know about the culture of that place, the geographical situation of that place, the religion that has a great influence on the managerial style, which is quite different from different countries have different um, culture, different norms, different religion, and the managerial style differs. So you have that's a big challenge again. When we say overseeing movement of jobs to countries with low cost labor, sometimes what happens that your business has you have a branch in a country where the cost of living is very low and you have unskilled workers there. So what are you actually going to do? Are you not going to employ them, or are you going to employ them, or are you just going to say no? Like if you do not employ them, you do not have skilled workers, so how are you going to manage it? And if you do not also employ, means you are not contributing to the society. There'll be huge amount of unemployment. You are not contributing to generate employment in that area. So the big task that a manager faces, how to balance the interest of the organization, that is to earn profit, and also responsibilities to the communities, that is generate employment, as we say social responsibility. A second that comes up is when we talk of diversity, managing diversity, or as we say, workforce diversity. Workforce diversity, different people coming from different countries. So what happens? There is difference in attitudes, difference in approaches, and difference in the way you work. So again, how would you adapt to it? This is the positive aspect by creating a work environment, developing human strengths. When we work with people from different countries and different cultures, we start developing our own skills. Otherwise, we won't be able to actually face the challenge that comes up due to globalization. And we will be actually just will be losing in that race to survive in the competitive market. And lastly comes up is to foster vitality and resilience. Vitality, where we talk of flexibility, resilience is our resistance power to address challenges, to address the complex situations. So that's all that we have for today in this unit. So we will see you in the next class.